Good evening, folks.
I moved to New Jersey.
Oh, God, stop. Okay, to start the meeting,
From Florida.
6:04. Sorry about being a minute late. Actually, 4 minutes late. This is the Board of Public Works meeting, being at 965 Plain Street in the DPW Media Room. It's Monday, July 29th, 2024. Tonight, we have two appointments. Presentation from Jack McDonald on village sign proposal at 6:10. 6:30, presentation from Brian McIsaac of Tower Ave Playground. We'll have 4 action items. The SRF funding for replacement sewer mains in flood-prone areas. Number 2, policy adoption, making personal appointments with the superintendent. Number 3, new drain layer license for Roland 953 LLC. Number 4, landfill environmental monitoring contract with our engineering staff. We have a discussion on a DEP letter. Next item would be black earth composting update, bylaws for pole and shoulder work, beach trash, and a discussion on the policy adoption and making personal appointments for the superintendent. Then we're going to vote on the accepting minutes of June 24th, July 8th, the executive meeting minutes of July 8th, and the open meeting minutes of 2023 that we were late putting into the computer. Then the superintendent's gonna have a report on tie gates, Avon pumping station force main, playground progress and other activities, and we're going to update a cemetery pamphlet. And we're gonna talk about the rules and regulations of the cemeteries. With that, that is the next agenda. Next meeting will be in August 12th, 2024. That's tonight's agenda, as stated. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do we have our first appointment of Jack McDonald here? Jack?
Yes, hi.
Since I was late, you're still here, and we're early for your appointment, we'll start with you first.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I got a couple of apologies for you. Last time I was here, we had a little grandchild situation. When they say, Dad, you need to come watch the kids quick.
Yeah.
You can't say no, so I apologize for that. And I do apologize. The proposal I gave to the group last time was more the same, exactly the same one I gave to the board, the select board, about a month before that. And they approved everything and suggested I come here. They approved everything at the select board meeting for one sign to get us started. Just keep it simple, one sign. We can decide, the size, the cost, the colors, the location. So that they approved me to come to the board here to approve, or to talk to you about the one sign. And I don't know if you have I did a revised proposal. I can talk about it.
Do we have it?
Yeah.
I think you should, if you could start at the top because there's
Sure.
residents watching.
Sure.
and-
Okay, well, first off, my name is Jack McDonald.
Oh, yeah, I do have it.
I've been a summer resident in Marshfield since 1957 at Blackman's Point Trailer Park. I'm the oldest of 11 kids, so we took over Bluefish Cove every day. I've owned 3 homes in Marshfield. I'm now retired here. I'm a retired person from college athletics, living in Ocean Bluff. And I have no financial interest in this. I watched the video from the meeting last week, and I have no financial interest. My only financial interest is I want to donate to maybe a sign for a particular area. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about me. The next page, if you have it, I am a retired Uber driver, and I'm all over the South Shore of Boston, and many, many towns have entering Hyde Park, Rosendale, Jamaica Plain, Manamet and Plymouth, Saxonville and Framingham, and I'm saying, I'm not sure there's a town in the state of Massachusetts that has more villages than Marshfield. We have a lot of them.
I think Newton maybe has a few villages.
West Newton, yeah, yes, there's many of them, Crystal Lake, there's a whole bunch of them. But, you know, we have, I'm gonna read a couple, you know, Green Harbor, Brant Rock, Ocean Bluff, Fieldston, Wrexham, Humrock, Marshfield Hills, the town hall I got, but there are others, there's Blackmount, there's Kent Park, there's all sorts of different areas of Marshfield. And there's also associations affiliated with many of them where they, you know, they raise money, they cut flowers, and the reason this idea came to me was 5 years ago, after the Dyke Road sidewalk was completed from Igle Park to Green Harbor, I did an adopt an island in my mother's name, right there at Igle Park, and so I said, anyway, first off, the adopt an island thing is fantastic, and you see them everywhere. It's almost getting to the point where it's an adopt a blade of grass, you know, they're everywhere, and I think it's great, and the businesses and communities are getting involved. So I said, you know, maybe the village sign might be something, you know, what is the boundary between Brant Rock and Green Harbor? Or what is the boundary between Brant Rock and Ocean Bluff? So I thought of that and started deciding went to see Mike Maresco, how do I begin? You need to come to the select board. I did. A couple times, and they approved the making of one sign sort of as our template / beginning. And that sign would say, they suggested, and again, it's you see entering Marshfield. And there's 3 or 4 areas in Marshfield now that when you enter, you don't know you're entering Marshfield. Coming in from Duxbury on Tremont Street, or coming across Bridge Street over in Norwell, crossing the North River. There's areas that we, or this board, or Sean would decide where to put this one sign. So that's a quick, any questions of that so far? And then there was a discussion of the Marshfield seal. And next time you're driving around and you see entering Pembroke or entering Hanover or Plymouth, a lot of times towns are washing out the state of Massachusetts seal. They haven't updated it, it's very gray. So the select board thought that instead of the state of Massachusetts seal in these signs, we would put the Marshfield sign, which is the official seal of Marshfield, which is fine. But again, this is not my decision, it was a suggestion at the select board meeting. The sign that, and there is a significant bylaw in the town that suggests certain sizes that you can make them, and the select board maybe thought of something 2 to 3 feet wide and not as wide as those white ones, you know, entering Marshfield and entering Pembroke signs. So about that size, but again, that would be a discussion with Sean or the board as to what you think would be the appropriate size of the sign within the bylaws of the town. And then the color of the sign. Some of the samples I've sent you are green, school colors are green, the town's colors are green, lettering will be white. But that's why we thought making one sign would then begin the template for these other village signs as we go. So we have the cost, the color, the design, all that stuff. I did leave on, I think it's page 5 or 6, but I did put in the minutes of the select board meeting from June 3rd, and there's a lot in there, but the most important thing from my end is the vote was unanimous by the board to make one sign. And Eric Kelly from the board suggested I come here, and that's ultimately, you know, why I'm here would be how would we begin the process of making the one sign. You know, I'm not a contractor, I'm not sure what to do and how to do it. And then the questions that or comments that I thought we would talk about in the next page would be the size of the sign. Would it be two-sided? If you're coming from Duxbury, should it say, you know, entering Marshfield on one side, entering Duxbury on the other side, as an example, or entering Norwell, entering Marshfield? You know, the cost of each of these signs, they probably be a little more expensive to make one by itself, and when we're getting into making 10 or 20 of them, they might be a little less expensive. But that's really why I'm here. The possible locations of this one sign, I mentioned a couple of them already, but there's a few places in Marshfield, Franklin Street, Acorn Street, as you come up by the Marshfield Country Club, there's nothing that says entering Marshfield. There's a lot of people that go that way to go to the Expressway South, or the Route 3 South. So anyway, the locations would be, I would refer to the board or to Sean as to what that location would be. I think that's it for me. If you had any questions, I know there's some comments in the video from the last meeting, but that's.
Sure. Any comments from the board?
I do.
Sure, go ahead.
So the first proposal that we saw must have been before you got the select board's opinion on the one entering Marshfield? Version?
Yes, it was before that. That was part of the
and-
board presentation.
Right, in that one, the one meeting that you weren't able to make, what we looked through your packet, you had all the examples of the different villages, and then they had a little other section underneath the sign that said sponsored by, and there were restaurants or whatever. So is that part of the plan, not part of the?
That is not what the board approved. That's what I put in my presentation to them.
So, I would like you to,
Expand on that a bit?
well, what I'd like you to do is present to us what you're asking for us, not what you got for approval from the select board. Because I'm not sure what we're actually discussing. If we're discussing the presentation you already sent to us that we looked over and discussed and had questions about, or if we're discussing just
I went
an
to-
entering Marshfield.
I went to Mike Maresco this morning, just to be clear when I came here today. Says, Mike, I think I made things a little bit too big for this meeting from the DPW, because the board clarified so much at the meeting in June 3rd, saying, let's find out what one sign would look like and install. I think that's really why I'm here.
So, okay, I'm just gonna interrupt, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So are we no longer being asked to consider your proposal of the villages signs with sponsors on them? Are we not being asked to consider that anymore? That was the presentation we.
Yeah, no,
reviewed.
and that's where I was, I'm sorry that I
It's okay.
didn't have the right presentation, but no, I don't think that's, if there is such a thing as a sponsor there, or a name, or something else, that would be approved by, not me, somebody in Marshfield, whether that's the board or this group, I don't know. Okay, I don't know how those things work. Like the Adopt an Island sign, you see many companies are adopting an island.
Good.
Right,
the
they take
landscape-
care, right, they take care of the
landscapers
island,
and private
exactly.
citizens, and so,
Right.
that was my mindset when I put that in the first proposal.
So, so I'll just ask again, are we no longer considering the proposal that we reviewed when you weren't here for that meeting?
I don't think so, but I don't think it's my role to say yes or no.
It's your proposal though.
It is, but it was to
Okay.
the board, not to, and they approved that,
You're talking about the select board?
yes.
We're
Okay,
step-
well, you're in front of the Board of Public Works.
Correct.
So
I know, yeah.
we
They,
need to know what we're talking about.
So let me explain what the Board of Public Works is.
hmm?
Let me explain what the Board of Public Works is.
Okay.
We're duly elected, same as the selectmen.
Mm.
In the charter, we're responsible for highways, water, sewer,
Yeah.
trash,
And you do a good job.
engineering, and then we support cemetery trees and greens. We maintain the ball fields, we maintain the beaches, and then we set policy and oversee the superintendent who manages the rest of the staff. So we're equal from the infrastructure component, similar to what selectmen. Selectmen deal with the finances, the budget, overseeing, they're the chief operating officer. We're the chief infrastructure officers. So, I mean, personally, I think we got too many friggin' signs out there as it is. I'm gonna stay right up front. But I think the idea of having neighborhood sign if the neighborhood association would want it. We would consider, I just don't think we need to have them all over the place to say that you're in Marshfield. I mean, you're in Marshfield, you look around, someone doesn't have to hit you with a 2x4 and know you're in Marshfield. I mean, just go to the beaches or whatever. So I just think that we need signs like when you enter Marshfield about water supply and restrictions, about staying 4 feet away from bikers and safety, that type of thing. And sometimes people get, sign blind because there's so many signs, I didn't know what sign I saw. And I think that going slow is a great idea. I think that we need to get buy-in from a number of ways of doing it. I mean, we could do squirrel, monkey, and we'll do a survey, something like squirrel, monkey out with the.
Oh, squirrel now?
Yeah, there's a squirrel, monkey survey piece that we can put on the website.
Survey Monkey.
Survey Monkey.
Oh.
And then we could give people an opportunity, they can get feedback from the public, what they think. And so it wouldn't be just the 3 of us, but we could actually go out there and get feedback on it.
Yeah,
I do like the city of Boston's neighborhood things that's sponsored and paid for by the city itself, not by, private.
Yeah, no,
So I hear where you're coming from. I just think that we don't need them all over town. I think that we need to get buy-in from the public. That's where I'm coming from.
yeah, no,
If you go to Vermont, you can never find a sign. You go to New Hampshire, you see some signs. Massachusetts has too many signs. You can oversign it too, is my point. There's a happy medium everywhere.
Mr. Chairman,
So,
I
go
have
ahead.
another thought on that.
I got a
Mike,
comment here.
Sure, go ahead.
So Jack, you got permission from the Board of Selectmen for one sign?
to come to you, I guess, and get the one sign started, but
Wait,
I'm not
a
a,
minute. Wait, let me finish.
Go
So
ahead.
you got permission from the Selectmen?
right,
So it's up to them to approve the type of sign, the size of the sign, the color of the sign, and the seal on it. To me, you're at the wrong board. You got nothing to do with this. We don't, no.
I'm just doing what I was told to come here.
but we would have to install it.
It doesn't, who's paying, who's paying for this?
Well, the intent was to find out what they cost first, so when we know.
So you've got permission from the selectmen, so it's out of the general fund, go to Moresco and ask for, X amount of dollars to
Yeah, and
purchase the signs.
I'm sorry, I'm maybe in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You're
but-
not in the wrong place,
Right.
but I'm just
Let me
confused
finish.
about, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, so you got the permission. To me, it's a part of the general fund. It's nothing to do with this board. I mean, we'll even be compensated for installing them. Yeah, we're just not gonna go out and dig holes for nothing.
No question.
So
Well,
what
we
do
make,
go?
we are the highway department.
Yeah, no.
All right, so it is somewhat of a shared responsibility. We do make the signs. The building inspector, when people need signs, they go to the building department, and he approves all the signs that are out there. And when it's either a business, an election, or something like that, you can get a sign permit type of thing. It goes through them. But I think it is a shared responsibility between because our responsibility is the roadways. There's a financial responsibility would be through the selectmen.
Yeah.
So, and
That's what I say.
what I'm saying is that where we put them on what the design would be, I think we should do an outreach to a Survey Monkey type of software and get feedback. I just think that we can overkill signs too.
And you're still, okay, so I'm just still trying to be clear. We're talking about an entering Marshfield sign. From Duxbury and from what other areas of town?
We're only gonna make, well, it was only approved for one sign,
Which was gonna be where?
that's why I'm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in one entering Marshfield sign, is what you ended up speaking to the select board about, okay, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And there's an example of that in here.
Yes.
Right, it looks nice. So, as far as all the villages, the idea of putting signs at all of the villages, my personal opinion is that would have to go before town meeting, because somebody's not gonna want a sign in front of their house. You know what I mean? So,
I'm
if we're
totally fine
putting,
with that.
if the idea is to put signs all over town, that is an all-town decision, in my view.
Well, who makes the decision during the town meeting? Would that be you guys, or the, working with the board, select board, or?
You would, if you chose to wanna pursue the idea of all the signs for all the villages,
Right.
that would be a citizen's petition
Okay.
that you would wanna do. And then there would be, you know, consideration about how it was gonna be paid for. So with the idea that you brought to us before, where they were all gonna have sponsors, my question about that was, you know, where's the sponsorship, like, who is the sponsor paying to have? But if we're not considering that anymore, we don't need to take time to
Yeah,
discuss it.
I think that the one sign we put wherever the town thinks is the appropriate place, we'll then know the color, the size, the logos, the installation, the height, the width. So that's, I think, why they suggested to me about, let's do the one sign, we'll know what it costs, where it goes, what it's gonna look like. From there, we then know if we wanna, if Brant Rock decides they wanna do one, we know exactly what it would cost and what it would look like.
And that, is that when this, so is the sponsorship idea still?
It's
And you
there-
have
it's-
T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff, I don't know
It's there if it's
where.
approved by the boards, the two boards. It's, you know, if by chance, say it's $1,000 a sign, I have no idea, then maybe that's what the sponsor fee would be. I don't know.
Sponsor who?
Well, remember the presentation that we saw?
There was two
That-
signs, there was a sign of entering
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And then
there
it said
was a sponsor
sponsored
sign.
by,
Right.
and it was like,
We're not
Right,
Had
and
ads or
again,
something.
that came from the adopted island. You see companies' names all over those, all.
because they take care of the
Correct.
islands, right?
Correct. So I think the one sign, put it in, even if it's temporary, because we don't want more signs, at least we know the design, the colors, the height, the width, and let's say a location, they get temporary location.
So, is it okay if I think when,
I wanna
I
try
wanna
to
see what
see
John has to say about
sneeze
Who?
the installation of the sign.
Oh,
Do you have
Sean.
any thoughts on this, John?
If he's gonna put one sign up, I'm more than happy to help him.
one sign,
Okay.
just one.
That's what he's
So-
looking for.
Okay, so we have a member of the select
Yeah,
board here.
but in different areas of, you're talking Norwell, coming in from Norwell, coming in.
We're gonna
from-
determine which.
Just one.
Those were suggestions,
Yeah.
but it'll be one sign.
So we're voting on one sign.
Okay, we're voting on the concept, of actually trying to go through a process. We have a member of the select board here.
Thank you, Mr. Shaughnessy. Eric Kelly, Select Board.
Always here.
I think what Mr. McDonald presented in the past is getting blurred with what he's looking for right now.
Yeah.
The whole thing is the village signs can't be done because there's no bylaw for it. The only thing the bylaw, to my understanding, is that it allows signs entering and leaving Marshfield on the
Right.
borders. So we approved a sign, so my suggestion to him was to go before you because you do have a controlling stake, especially on the shoulders, I believe, of the town. And so my suggestion to Mr. McDonald was to go before you, figure out the size and all, size of the sign and a location, a proper location for it, where it would appear to be not impacting anybody, and visuals was probably something you have to go to the safety officer as well. So my look at it, just recommended Mr. McDonald to come before you is a good location on the shoulder of the road, the size of the sign, and Mr. McDonald also stated at the meeting, I believe, you can verify this for me, that he was willing to pay for the sign out of his own pocket. Much like what he was thinking about with the village sign is that someone can make a donation to pay for that sign if we get that far down the road. But right now, all it is the location on the shoulder of the road at one of our border sites, because that's all the bylaw calls, allows, and to put one up and then see how it looks, and then we can go from there. That's it, we're just looking, I'm just looking for approval, I think, what we're looking for is just approval, somewhere in the shoulder road, that's gonna be safe, not impacting any residents in the area, and then go from there. I hope that clarifies.
What did clarify?
So,
I don't think should have anything to do with this. Just-
I mean, right now that we
That's
do
all I
have,
look
there
at.
is a sign at, entering, Marshfield in the island at 3A. I think you got Daniel Webster there, picture of Daniel Webster there. I'm okay as long as there's a minimal amount of signs, we don't oversign it. To move, to
You know, if it
try
only
not-
ends up being one sign, then that's the way it is,
Yeah.
but I think that getting this one in would be a great step forward, because we know exactly,
Yes, because I mean, I think there's something down Brent Rock already,
Yeah, on the,
on the island
Veterans
itself.
Island.
Because they do adopt the island program down there.
Mhm.
So I think that, Sean, you should probably, have Jimmy and you
I
take a
already
look.
have a
at-
spot for it.
Huh?
I already have a spot for
You
it.
do?
They have a spot, but where would be that spot?
On Walnut between Duxbury and Marshfield.
Where's Walnut? It's,
It's the road that goes into Duxbury.
oh, to the highway?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is that Caswell going?
No, the other one,
Okay, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
off of Parsonage.
Right,
Okay,
Crossing Parsonage.
correct, correct.
There's nothing there.
there's nothing there. Okay.
Do you
So,
have to ask permission from Duxbury to put their name on the other side of the sign?
I know the superintendent.
I mean, I think somebody should ask them, somebody.
so
Have
who's
somebody.
paying for this?
He's gonna provide the sign, correct?
yeah, again, I'll work with Sean and we'll,
We can install it, that's not a big deal, that'll take 10 minutes.
Okay.
Right.
So I think if we move forward after the one sign, I think we should do some kind of a survey. You know, take that template and put it on the website and ask people for their opinion.
yeah.
Oh, I mean, but it's not covered through
We
the
only got
bylaw.
one sign.
We can't have the village sign unless we change the
No,
bylaw for
no, I
signs.
understand that. So if we got a survey and people want them, then the next step would go to town meeting.
Okay.
And if they want one, they have to come up with a site that would be,
Well, yeah,
Agreeable to the neighbors.
they could suggest it, and then we
Right.
would go to town meeting,
Yeah.
and we would get a vote.
You gotta
And
change the
we'd work to
bylaw.
make sure that the bylaw to straighten it out with legal counsel.
You have to write a bylaw change. That's what
Yeah.
you need to do.
I wouldn't support the village signs, just going
Okay.
on record with that. I just don't think I think it's too much, too busy when people are trying to drive and,
Have you seen the one
read
up-
things that are,
down in Fieldston, that has Ocean Bluff, Brant Rock and Fieldston on it?
of course.
That's the veterans.
The veterans, they did a very nice job there,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got a
Yeah.
permit for that.
very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's a veterans island.
So you
Yes.
guys,
It was voted
so-
by town meeting.
Really nice, yeah.
So I don't think we ever, this is just a discussion, so conceptually, we're okay with moving forward, with the one sign with Sean.
Thank you
And
very
then
much.
we'll come up with a better plan and a pathway if we want to move it forward.
Thank you very much, that'll be a great,
Okay.
great first step, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you
Thanks.
very
Yeah.
much.
Okay, thanks.
Good luck, Grandpa.
Oh, thanks, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, the next item is an appointment that is 6:30, presentation from Brian McIsaac on Tower Ave Playground.
Evening.
Hello.
Hi, please state your name and address for the record and why you're here.
Excuse me. My name's Brian McIsaac. I currently live in Marshfield. I just bought a home last year. Raising a fourth generation family member. My grandfather, my father, everybody grew up in that neighborhood here. Needless to say, I'm here on behalf of the park. You know, I live across the street from it. My daughter's 6 years old, and I'm trying to give her a better outlook on, you know, the recreation side of things. And just moving forward, I really didn't put together too much of a presentation because I wasn't really sure what you guys were willing to even hear, to be honest with you. So here it goes. My name's Brian McGozick. I'm a current Marshfield resident. I recently purchased a home with my family on Tower Ave. I'm here tonight to share some of my ideas, trying to remain patient and understanding in this process. I wanted to establish a family-friendly, inclusive park. I had some questions for the board. I'm really not sure how this works, if it's just an open discussion, or
You
if
can
I
just-
just
go ahead.
rant on and you guys answer as I go. or-
Say whatever you.
All right. So I just have some questions, like, I'm kind of confused as to who owns the park. Is it the town? Is it the recreation? Is it public works? Or are you guys just a combined entity? Because I feel like I've looked into each department now, and I've got separate answers on every front.
And you will.
Right, so.
That's
with
okay.
that- With that being said, I just wanted to clarify things as far as how I could be resourceful in helping, you know, reopen the park, or parks if
Well,
necessary.
let's talk about one item at a
Yeah,
time.
so, you know, I just wanted to see who's gonna, you know, who decided to be responsible for the maintenance and repairs moving forward to open the park, first and
We're
foremost.
talking Tower Ave only.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll seclude that.
We're not going to.
No.
Because,
One thing at a time, I gotta-
Yeah, it's because
understand.
there are schools, there's parks.
Right, so that's,
There's recreation.
right, so that's,
There's town, there's highway, it's like you gotta, there's islands.
so,
And everyone, there's different ownerships and different responsibilities from the different parts of the town.
right, so
If it's town land, it's all owned by the town, but it depends on,
separate entities,
well, we're one town, but people have different
views.
no, it's not views, there's different responsibilities. And there are.
Well,
there
I'm
are
still
certain-
trying to figure that out, put
Right.
it that way.
Okay.
So moving forward, I just wanted to, you know, open a narrative and try to help the situation for the community. I think that you guys are doing a fine job moving forward as far as getting it inspected. I'm just wondering, first and foremost, excuse me, you know, what's the timeline to reopen Tower Ave Park? I know Sean was nice enough to speak with me the other day, and I know the schools are most important, I understand that totally. But moving forward, is the schools a state responsibility, or is it under the
So we're
umbrella?
gonna talk about Tower Ave only. I mean.
But it's hard, it's,
Huh?
Can I ask the question?
it's hard.
Yeah, so
It's
so
hard
let's start.
Okay.
Sean, why did we actually close the parks to begin with, is because there's state laws out there that require us to be safe in all our parks.
Right.
In order to do that, we needed to get a certified inspector to make sure that it's safe. It's not because we didn't, because we wanted to do it, it's because there are rules that are coming down from a safety standpoint, from the various components of the state. One's probably the Office of Children, probably with public safety. There's other components that are out there that require us to make sure what we provide as a public entity is safe for the public. And in order to assure that, we needed to get it inspected. Sean, I'm gonna turn it over to Sean, because John was part of, with the recreation people, the schools, and that entity to determine what is the status of all our parks, particularly, since we're talking just about the Tower Ave. Let's just talk about Tower Ave, and we can put that on a timeline, we can get some of the answers and get a schedule of when can we reopen that. And that's your ultimate goal, I believe.
Of course, but, you know, in theory, it'd be nice for all of them to be.
Well, I understand, but we're gonna talk about Tower Ave only.
I'll explain. I explained a lot in my email to you, did I?
Yes, you did, you were very helpful on that.
Okay.
And I
So-
appreciate that, thank you.
So Sean, but we got people at home watching, so explain it to them also.
I'm going to.
Okay.
We've had a few complaints from residents about the condition of the playground. So I was in contact with the recreation director, Craig Jamison, And we went down there and it's in rough shape. It was only done 5 or 6 years ago when I was here last time, and I was kind of taken back on the condition. But Craig and I met with Mike Maresco, the town administrator, and we wanted to move on this quickly. So we hired an inspector, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I am not a playground expert, nor do I want to be, and nor do I pretend to be. And when it was brought to my attention that there was a lot of safety issues, and one was the walkway going in, the slope that was dropping off that somebody could roll their ankle on, all the exposed concrete, there wasn't enough mulch, the fence is in the wrong spot. We decided it was best to close it. Then at the same time, we decided to do all the inspections on all the playgrounds, because going forward, I didn't want to take any chances. I have grandchildren, I raised my son to be a good father. I don't want to see anybody's kids get hurt, and I don't want it on my shoulders or anybody else's in the town. So, Tower Ave is the playground that needs the most attention and probably costs the most money. But now we're trying to figure out a way to involve the community to see what they really want up there, because there seems to be an area where there's a lot of kids that play there. And I'm sorry that it's closed right now, but I'm not gonna take a chance on somebody getting hurt. But we're also, I have a group of guys from the DPW that are also doing a lot of the work ourselves, just trying to save a few bucks. This is very expensive. And then when you do any kind of work, municipality-wise, you gotta pay the rate, which doubles your cost of doing business. So we're trying to come up with different ideas. With the Tower Ave playground, talking with the town administrator, the rec department, and myself, we decided that it would be best to form a committee to involve some of the residents as well. Somebody from DPW, somebody from Recreation, and some residents that want to be involved will form the committee and decide how we're going to do it, how much it's going to cost, and what we can afford. We decided to go with the opening the schools because kids go to school in September. Plus, there was a couple of summer camps going on, so we didn't want to hold things up. And we got 2 of them done, South River and Daniel Webster, with our folks. And the schools doing a lot of the minor repairs that need to be done. Now, I had the inspections done. I did ask for a worst-case scenario, so I knew where to start and where to end. So, the reports came back a little like, wow, but we nipped away at them and did a lot of the things ourselves, so we could open some playgrounds. And our goal is to open the ones in the schools first. At the same time, we're gonna try and get Tower Ave online as well. And it'll be a new playground from soup to nuts. Does that give you any more clarity?
It does. It still doesn't give me much of a timeline. You know, I moved here in August. I purchased a home in August on Tower Ave. I grew up in that neighborhood. It's dear to my heart, as I said before. But I did find the timeline, so forgive me, but lapse as far as you know, seeing what the safety precautions were. Most of it, which were donated, the mulch was donated for the playground interior there, come to find out. So that I'm just trying to figure out what actually is the safety issue and how we can rectify it to open it sooner than later. I mean, you know, I'm trying to be part of the solution and not part of the problem here. You know,
So-
I wanna be helpful and resourceful, but I need to understand where, you know.
Did I give you a
where we're
copy of the
going.
report?
I'm sorry?
Did I give you the copy of the report?
I sent him a copy of the report.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm aware, and I actually got a consultant to look in on it as well, so that I knew the correct terminology to bring forth to you guys. I'm just trying to understand if it's in the planning process, or if
It
it's
is.
in the planning process, what stage are we in as far as just to open the park, not to redo the park? Because let's face it, that's long overdue, and it's the last one in town to be redone. So it's,
It may not
and I
be the
know the
last.
CPC has money that's available, and I'm wondering what that is, and if I could be helpful to, you know, bring to the table some professionals under supervision to help with the process of redoing the park. That's why I'm here tonight.
So one of the first things I'm gonna do is, we gotta,
So I don't know the correct channels, I guess is what I'm trying to do it respectably as well as, you know, trying to get it open. for
no,
the kids.
as well as I am, I'm trying to give you the facts.
Right, right.
The fence has to be replaced, it doesn't meet the code.
But from my understanding, there's no bylaws that are written about the playgrounds, as far as
State
being,
regulations.
yeah,
State
there's no,
laws.
there's no bylaw, state law.
The state regulations that would look at.
Yeah, there's a consulting.
So,
side.
yeah, well,
Right.
there's state regulations on all playgrounds because there are children involved. And
But
the
there's
state-
not an
public-
actual system in place for a bylaw.
Well, it's not bylaws in the town.
I mean, not bylaw, excuse me.
State law.
Yeah, excuse
It's a
me.
state.
So, th- we're gonna go all over the
I
place
know,
here, so
sorry,
let me,
yeah.
let's focus. First thing we needed to do is a study. Second is, based on that study, we have the certification, based on the needs assessment of a study. Then we basically go to establish a budget and it's a preliminary design. The study usually goes to a preliminary design.
Right.
Based on a preliminary design component, right, you could establish a budget. And from that point, then we could go to CPC, the Community Preservation, for the rehabilitation of the park. CPC will not fund maintenance of a park, but they will fund a rehabilitation of a park. So
Can the
we've done
select
that.
board vote on that to override it or no?
That would go to town meeting to get funded. We're still talking time here,
Right.
because it has to go, that's almost a year. You put something in the fall, it gets voted on in the spring, right? Nothing happens, it gets discussed over the winter, then you get the spring, you get the money in the spring, then you can hire one or two things. Part of that money can be used from the town forces, and the town forces can actually do it, and we can hire contractors to get it done. So we're still looking at this time next year before, really, when you come down to it, if we got funding to open the park, a new park.
Right.
All right, so that's sort of, it's not gonna happen in 2 months.
I understand that.
But the
I'm just
process,
trying to
the process
understand the process, I guess.
is really eye-opening.
Yeah.
But it can be achieved.
Right.
It's achievable.
Okay.
So that's,
Yeah.
because your 6-year-old might be
Well,
7-year-old
that's-
when he gets there,
You know,
but he's gonna be on
that's why
a new
I'm here,
park.
though,
Okay.
to be helpful.
Right.
So I just have a few more questions. If Playscapes was the builders of that park in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, how come they haven't gone to repair those minor repairs in the park? And that could open it up right there. It's only those 2 spinners that are an issue, as well as some other height issues that we all know Wayne could throw a couple of scoops in and flatten that right out. So I'm trying to fast track it, and I understand this, it's a process, but I think there's enough tradesmen in that neighborhood alone that would be more than helpful or more than happy to lend a hand if there was a correct litigation to sign off as a waiver to do the volunteer work. And I think I could put that together, is what I'm trying to bring to the table here. I also just wanted to, throw out a few ideas, just to be helpful. But it sounds like, I'm fully aware that there's $200,000 that the CPC has already put aside for the redo of the park. Now, that all transpired before the 5 parks closed. I'm trying to figure out where the money's going, if we're actually using it for Real Associates to fix the parks, or is DPW fixing them and Real Associates is just being a consultant on the side here.
Okay,
So I-
those are questions that this board and individual members don't have answers to, that we would have to rely on engineering staff and the superintendent to answer those questions.
I have the answers. There is money set aside in CPC, not quite as much as you think there was, but close.
Come on.
No, let's be real. There's 2 different accounts, okay? And you can't use that money for maintenance we can use it to rebuild and put new pieces of equipment in there and put the resurfacing mulch down there.
That was free to begin with?
That was free.
It was free, yeah.
Yeah.
It was donated, yeah.
There's none there now.
Right, so I'm just saying, I
So-
think that area I think would be rectified, that's all I'm saying.
It can be rectified,
That's all.
and it's something I'm working on. Now, since you have a lot of good ideas, why don't you meet me there one of these days this week,
Yeah,
and you and I will talk
of course,
about how we want to do it.
yeah, absolutely. I'm in on that,
All right.
absolutely, that's why I'm here tonight. I'm not here for, to talk any certain way, I just want the narrative to stay open as well as, trying to get community ideas and, get the resources that are, in that neighborhood, to form a coalition to redo.
That's part of the
you know.
plan, and what I sent you in the email is 100% honest,
Right,
okay? So if you want to meet me there, I'm more than willing to show you what we want to do and how we want to do it,
yeah, of course,
and get your buy-in.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so you
Absolutely.
pick a day, I can't do it tomorrow,
Whenever you're available.
I'll do it Wednesday,
Yeah, absolutely.
name it,
Actually, my
time,
daughter's gonna run the race on Wednesday, so,
Thursday.
yeah, absolutely. But, I did come here, just to throw some ideas out there and just ask a few questions to try to be helpful. It wasn't any certain way, and I appreciate all the information that you've been helpful with, as well as you, Sean, with the email. So I appreciate you guys' time.
So, do we have a preliminary design of what really needs to be done out there, based on the inspector's report, or is it?
I know where he's going, he wants to get the park open as soon as he can, and there may be a way to do that, but I want to talk to him and show him what we need to do, and what we
What to
find
do?
to be
What to do?
a serious situation,
Okay,
all right? I should have said that in the email that I was gonna meet you.
I was actually gonna come in today to save all this. to be
Yeah, you
honest.
know, you
I
probably
like being
should.
on camera, so, yeah.
that's okay.
I'm on camera all day long. But, no, needless to say, I hope this is bringing some light, to, open the narrative for the rest of the community to weigh in and like you said, with the, I'm not sure or familiar with the term, monkey something rather?
Survey monkey.
Survey monkey? I mean,
It's
maybe
a
that's something we
computerized
should
survey
do,
system.
moving forward for the design. I sketched some things, but I'm not gonna share them right this moment.
Show me Thursday.
Yeah, so, it was just,
So, I mean,
more or less, I guess where I was coming from was, I know Playscapes did the work there. Is there a possibility that there's a warranty in place that they could come back and address the issue?
I don't think there is, no.
Okay, so that was like my main,
after 5 years, I don't think so.
yeah.
We're finding a lot of things, I'm not blaming Playscapes, to be honest with you.
Or is Real Associates available to not only consult, but actually do the work? I mean, I've seen their
See,
work and
everything has to
they
be,
do
everything has to be bid out.
and better. Yeah,
So-
and I'm sure there's a bid list, and I'm sure there's a
Well, no,
process with that.
there's a
Oh,
procurement
there's a
process that we have to go
I-
through.
I've been learning a little bit, so, I understand, but I'm just trying to throw my ideas out there and get, some narrative.
So,
going.
I'm gonna ask the audience if they have any questions, and how many people are here from Tower Hill?
Or,
Tower Ave, sorry. It's on the hill. Eric?
Which one?
Thank you, Mr. Shaughnessy. I was quite aghast when I got the reports in regards to all these playgrounds being closed. So I guess the first question, I know you want to stick the tower out, but who is responsible for the playgrounds?
Sean?
That was a big question over the years, because there was some playgrounds that were privately funded, other organizations were involved, but after talking to Attorney Galvin, it falls under the Recreation and DPW, correct when I say that?
Recreation determines the day-to-day use, the construction and maintenance is up to the Department of Public Works.
So it was one of those things that was overlooked for years, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that I was not to blame for it. I wasn't here for a lot of the time when after these playgrounds were built, but it fell through the cracks because all these playgrounds were built, but they were never funded for maintenance, ever, until we're swinging into this now, that we're trying to put a committee together and form a budget line to maintain these playgrounds going forward, because they were never maintained, period. And nobody reacted, there was a reaction thing, nobody was proactive, because we didn't really think about the playgrounds until somebody complained about it. because we're so busy doing all the other things.
Fortunately, unfortunately, it's right in front of me, so, you know, I look out every day.
But you know what, though?
You know,
I respect that, that's fine. I mean, somebody has to point out things. And we found it to be a major issue going forward, and we decided to collaboratively work together with the schools and the rec department to try and get these things up to snuff. And part of our program is to get them reopened, get the maintenance done, get them reopened the best we can. Going forward, put money aside for maintenance, to do them every year and inspect them every year, so we don't run into these problems going down the road, if that makes any sense.
So, that's good, so you're gonna come up with a maintenance plan, is what you're saying?
Yeah?
Okay. In regards to Tower Ave now, I visited there, one of the residents up there called me up there to take a look. And structurally, looks like most of the structures don't seem to be in bad shape. The whole thing is that in the report, you can't figure out what they're saying that is serious, that should be removed. I asked the town administrator when this report was coming out to get out pictures of everything, what they're talking about, of course, that wasn't provided. But one thing, there's a few things in there. One was that the screws, the threads are showing, about 1 or 2 threads, so it seemed like it need to be grinded down. I don't know what structures are up there in regards to that pose a risk to the kids that may need to be removed, but if we can do that, we should. And then I would say, 15 yards of play mulch might cover that whole area, elevated to the fence and everything. I mean, there's a height issues, and then there's a padding issue, I guess you could look at. I mean,
It's not 15 yards of mulch.
what?
It's gotta be 10 inches deep,
10 inches.
compact,
probably
yeah.
2 feet at some instances.
Because of the holes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big divot.
But that's the first thing we're gonna do. And
Yeah, but like, when you say we, are you talking about the DPW itself?
we're doing the ones at the schools now.
All right, so, I mean, if you get, are you saying that if you get the mulch laid down, that playground will be open, or what are we looking at here?
I'm gonna look at which piece of equipment need to be removed, or what can be fixed. If there's, I haven't had a chance to get there and do that yet, because we're trying to get the other ones done.
Thursday. Thursday.
Thursday, we're gonna look at it, yes, thank God.
At what time Thursday?
9 o'clock, I'm thinking.
9 o'clock, it's dark. In the morning,
Yeah,
you gotta work.
huh?
I work for a living.
So what time, that's why I asked you, what time do you wanna do it?
Yeah. With all due respect. In the afternoon sometime, after dinner, 6, it's fine.
All right,
If that works.
I'll make it work.
Okay, I'll get you in a
Only come
second.
in the-
All right, another question from the audience. Name and address for record?
Elizabeth Hubbard, 15 Shirley Street, so a little bit away from Tower Ave, but we actually walk. I have 3 kids. I have a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-month-old. So needless to say, Tower Ave Park is a lifesaver for us a lot of the time. It's a really good park for little kids. It's a lot more manageable to manage 3 kids at that park than it would be, say, the park near the library. So I think it really serves a purpose for a lot of people in the neighborhood, not just Tower Ave, but the greater neighborhood of Marshfield, that park really serves a certain population of small children that might be home all year round, not just during the summertime. So for instance, like when it closed, it was a little bit before schools closed, and it was a hard thing to kind of work around. So I know you're working really hard on it. I also know that there are a lot of moms that feel really strongly about getting it back up, and dads. I don't know what the community can do to help you accomplish that goal. So I'm here to also offer services to help you accomplish the goal of reopening it. I don't know how to do that, but I know that a lot of people in the community, I'm sure, would be willing to offer whatever help you need.
Good, thank you.
Okay. So let's, I'll give you the last word. What do you want to say?
Thank
See
you
you
for your
Thursday?
time. See you Thursday.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
coming.
Okay. Next item, I'm gonna ask the superintendent, do you wanna move, any items, forward?
I'm going to ask that the board postpone the policy adoptions. I have not had a chance to really get my teeth. sunk
Item number
into
2,
it. Yeah,
okay,
and that would be item number 5 on this discussion.
okay, and then you want to, just go right down the list?
Go right down the list.
All right, the first one is SRF funding for replacing sewer mains in flood-prone areas.
Yeah, I'll take that. So this is just, you should have a packet in your binder there. It's a memorandum. This is similar to when we did the Plymouth Avenue pump station. In order to file for the grant, we need to have authority to file for it. So this is similar. This is the rehabilitation of the sewer in flood-prone areas, the low-lying areas of Marshfield. So we're just looking right now to get authorization to go ahead.
Any discussion from the board?
I had a question from a resident today, asking if you know specifically the areas that you're looking at for this.
We know, not overall, I mean, there's so many
Right.
low-lying areas, but where we've seen issues recently, which is the Plymouth Avenue force main we had to fix a section of Second Road, so that area over there, Westbrook Street, we have money set aside to do some work. Those areas, as well as, I mean, we've identified low areas all throughout town that are suspect, that we would have to look at.
Okay.
So it's a considerable amount of sewer lines that we're looking at.
Now, the sewer lines that we're looking at, are those the ones that were built in the 70s?
Yes,
So that goes down all the way to Wrexham,
yes.
across the dunes?
Yeah, but what we're saying is it's the ones, in our opinion, it's the ones that are in below groundwater, that are put below groundwater that seem to have the most
So
problems.
something along Surf Avenue?
Well, Surf Avenue, we replaced all Surf Avenue, we extended all the sewers on Surf Avenue, so we're out of the way. Some of the feeder roads off of Surf Avenue, sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then all the way down Plymouth Avenue, all the roads off of Plymouth Avenue, all the way up to Central Street. We had an issue with a culvert crossing coming out of the trailer park, coming down to that pump station. So anything that's low-lying at this point in time that was built in the late 70s is kind of suspect right now.
Okay. So people at home, that's where the original sewers were put in the 1970s, which EPA spent 90% of the whole funding component of it. Now we're on our own for the maintenance with the state revolving fund. Any other questions from the board?
Well, I just want to make sure, the bottom line is 7,856,000, is that?
That's what we're asking for in funding, yes. Asking that from the state.
Okay. Just want the folks at home to know what the cost is.
So let me get this right. We're gonna be looking at basically Grant Rock, Fieldston, down to Plymouth, down Plymouth Avenue to, and the feeder roads along Plymouth Avenue. Since we already did Surf Avenue, we don't have to deal with Surf Avenue.
Not Surf Avenue.
So
itself,
Surf
yes.
Avenue to the treatment facility.
Surf Avenue, all of Surf Avenue is good right now. The feeder roads off of Surf Avenue.
Not Surf Avenue, but the feeder roads coming into it.
Right,
Right, all the way to
yes.
the treatment plant.
Yes.
Wrexham's not involved.
Rexham is high. I mean, we're not being restrictive in this. We're
Okay.
trying to get the money from the state
Yeah.
in grants and loans, and then use it as we find these places that need repair.
Okay.
Kenny, is that gonna be on Country Drive in Mayflower, when actually that starts?
No, we haven't looked at that one, but that's probably one we should look at because it's low lying,
Yeah, I mean, that flooded
Yeah.
in 78,
right?
all the way up to
Yep.
Lou Silver's house.
And that's a relatively deep sewer right there as well.
Yeah, that's something that's gonna, that was supposed to start at the end of June, but.
Yeah.
when's
That's the
that?
drainage.
Yeah, but if we're gonna do work on that road, we should
Oh,
do
yeah.
the sewer as well.
I have a question.
When's that gonna start?
We're still working on we had some design changes because of some of the elevations out there are a little bit different than what we thought. So we're ordering materials right now.
Week, 2 weeks?
It'll be a couple weeks to get materials.
It's only 3 inches of pitch from one end to the other.
Yeah, I know, it's almost flat because it's.
So we had to make some changes.
Yeah.
So where do you come up with 7.8 million?
We went through all the record drawings and we evaluated all the areas where the sewer was installed beneath the groundwater.
Yeah,
So we identified those and have a cost estimate about what it would take to either reline or replace them.
okay, I was just curious how you got that figure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you feel like it's an overestimate? Hopefully it's not an underestimate.
Again, it depends once we
Yeah,
get into
I
it,
guess.
yeah.
It's okay, we have Eric here, he'll be supporting us. Any other comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'd like to, you wanna make the motion?
Sure. The Board of Public Works, on behalf of the town of Marshfield, hereby authorizes the superintendent of Public Works to file applications and execute agreements for grants and/or loans as may be required, and including the SRF application, and otherwise act as the authorized representative for the town in connection with the sewer rehabilitation project.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is number 3, new drain layer license for Roman 953 LLC. Mr. Superintendent,
I have no problem with this.
all right? Any comments from the board? No comments? Make a motion to accept the wastewater supervisor's recommendation to award there's more than one here. Oh, no, it's all the same. Edwin Ahern of Roman 953 LLC. You have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We'll
Aye.
sign that one. Next item would be landfill environmental monitoring, the contract.
That's me again. So
That's
this-
Ken.
This is an annual agreement that we have with Weston and Sampson. Weston and Sampson's been doing the monitoring over there for a very long time. They worked on the closure of the landfill back in 2000 or so. This is the same proposal that they gave us last year. They actually have no changes whatsoever. The price is the same. There was no escalation at all. So they had the same terms and conditions, which our attorney reviewed last year, made some changes to them. Those changes were incorporated into this year's agreement as well. So we're recommending that we go ahead and sign this agreement.
I see on page 2 that they referenced the PFAS component. So they're gonna be sampling for groundwater and PFAS in that area.
I think what they were saying is that it could change based upon PFAS requirements.
Okay, are we going to monitor for PFAS?
Not until we're required to.
Can we ask them to?
Well, I think that we need to, I think we should include it. John, you agree?
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
We have some money in there for engineering assistance, so we can use some of that money.
I think if you
additional
need,
stuff.
need to come up with a change on it, we should do a change on it.
Okay.
All right? Any comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'll make the motion to execute contract number 2025-03 for professional landfill environmental monitoring and reporting service with Weston and Sampson's Engineering Incorporated for a period of 1 year in the amount not to exceed $51,800, and to authorize the chairman and designee member, chairman or designee member, to execute the contract documents when they are prepared. Also, any additional cost for PFAS could be considered a change order, and we'll bring it back to the board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good.
Okay. That ends the action items. Next item is the discussion. We're going to turn this over to you.
Okay. So, after town meeting, voted to send, that it wanted the, boards to reach out to the DEP, on the, sorry. To, look into, I don't have the exact wording. Oh, actually, it's in the letter. I'll just read it. So anyways, we wrote the letter, the Board of Public Works and the Board of Health signed it, and it was sent to Jeff Gould from the DEP in Lakeville, and then also to Environmental Health Services Division in Boston. So the letter is, on June 24th, 2023, Marshfield held a special town meeting which addressed the following citizens petition. Article 2, will the town of Marshfield vote to instruct the Select Board, Board of Public Works, Board of Health, and Zoning Board of Appeals to seek a determination by the Mass Department of Environmental Protection as to whether construction of a large multi-building project with multiple septic systems in Zone 2 of the Marshfield Town Aquifer is consistent with the public water supply regulations for the long-term groundwater supply protection in Marshfield prior to the issuance of any permits for construction of the project currently referred to as the Bridle Crossing off Ferry Street, AKA Ferry Street Rear. Over 800 people stood in line for up to 90 minutes to enter the high school and avail their opportunity to speak and vote on this petition. Both the full capacity town meeting attendance and the unanimous yes vote were unprecedented in Marshfield. We are writing seeking your assistance in our effort to determine and thus prevent potential contamination of our Church Street and 2 Ferry Street municipal drinking water wells, with closest well located 2,000 feet from the proposed development. We are concerned with any impact on the water quality in Marshfield and for our neighbors Situate and Duxbury, as we also provide these towns with water produced from these, our 3 cleanest wells. We foresee serious future water concerns regarding PFAS and other unknown contaminants when looking at the combination of the above noted project with maximum density and contributing wastewater, the conditions of Sylvester Ray landfill, the removal of 125,000 cubic yards of earth abutting the unlined Sylvester Ray landfill, and the utilization of a new wastewater denitrification system with provisionally approved status and no significant operational track record. We are aware that pursuant to Massachusetts PFAS Interagency Task Force and the EPA National Primary Drinking Water Regulation, the DEP is in process of collecting data on PFAS chemicals present in public water and public wastewater systems, and as of yet, no Massachusetts regulations have been determined for wastewater. There have been studies conducted that indicate significant levels of PFAS in domestic wastewater and the effluent of these denitrification systems. Standards have been set for the drinking water, and we assume they will be set for wastewater forthcoming over the next few years. It only makes sense to proactively minimize the amount of PFAS getting into our drinking water aquifers. In support of our citizenship vote, our awareness of the rapidly increasing list of Massachusetts towns experiencing water well emergencies with PFAS contaminants, including but not limited to our neighboring towns mentioned in this letter, and our responsibilities as Board of Public Works Water Commissioners and Board of Health Public Health Commissioners, we respectively request the DEP conduct a comprehensive review of the above impacts. So that's the letter that this board and the Board of Health sent to the 2 DEP addresses.
Great. Any comments, John?
No, did we get any response yet?
No, not yet. So this was sent last Saturday.
So I'm not sure if I'm just gonna speak out. Do we send copies to our state rep and state senator?
We didn't, but we could.
We could.
Well, we're doing our best to protect our water. What else is going on? Is there any type of legal action going on?
So,
I saw something on Facebook, but I don't know exactly what it is, but
Mhm.
someone's pulling something together as far as an opposition
Right,
from a
so-
legal component.
yeah, the abutters are appealing the ZBA decision. And there is, I believe, so Mary Taylor's posted, the Big Dig is posted on Facebook looking for donations. And apparently there's been some kind of crosstalk about, she's received some messages saying that somebody's spreading the word that she doesn't have the signatures for the appeal, and so people aren't donating, but she does have the signatures for the appeal, and it's gonna be filed by Wednesday. So I hope,
Okay.
you
Well,
know,
that's good information.
people will be clear about that,
It's the summertime too.
yeah.
Some people on vacation.
Mhm.
Okay,
Nice letter, Diane.
thank you.
So,
So I think that, who would send out the copies to the state rep and state senator? Because this is gonna end up being a political issue anyway.
yeah. Yeah, maybe, maybe, get the addresses.
Give me the addresses and I'll
Send
send
them
them
out.
Okay.
Who do you want to send them
Kearney.
Dave, I saw your hand up
to?
first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, Dave Carey, 34 Outlook Road. I like the sound of the letter, thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Thank you.
I believe that you were made aware of this through Mary Taylor, but perhaps not. I had some comments on the select board letter as they discussed it and read it in their meeting on July 15th.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they failed to have any review of Town Code 20, number 3, or 20, number 4, which basically gives them authority over removal of gravel from any project, no particular reference for or against a 40B. And in addition, the fact that they can take into consideration the effects on water supply or health and safety of persons living in the neighborhood. And I was disappointed that there was never any discussion of that in any of their meetings as this ZBA process was going forward for this project. You know, they also were quoting numbers that don't match anything that was within the DEP sampling for Ferry 1, Ferry 2 in particular. A reference of 32.32 nanograms per liter, you know, and that was not in any of the reports we did in 2022 and 2024. In 2023, because DEP had not found any significant, PFAS with the Marshfield wells compared to elsewhere, they were not required to sample in 2023. In April of 2024, this year, Ferry 1 did show for one of the, I think it was the PFAS 5, but that's subject to check because I don't have it in front of me at the moment, of 0.82 nanograms per liter, but they did have a J notation which indicates the result was between the minimum detection levels and the minimum regulatory level, and as a result the qualifier was, for the overall PFAS 6s, was listed as 0, none detected. However, typically, if they're not seeing a repeat of the analysis with a, at least this is the way it was working back when it was 6 parts per trillion and stuff like that. If they didn't, in the split sample, didn't find a repeat of the testing on the first one, then it was considered as a non-detection because it was not repeatable. And that's typical for most, any kinds of analysis, whether it's biological, chemical, whatever, including the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, in which I had a lot of experience in my prior life. Very typical. And I will say that I did also hear town council, whose opinion I generally respect, is, we're quoting 0.4 nanograms per liter, the CBA meeting and elsewhere, and nowhere was there ever a reference for Ferry 1, Ferry 2 of, 0.4 nanograms per liter in any of those DEP results that were submitted
That's nothing, that's.
by the water department.
That is a thing.
Okay, I saw Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Kelly, Pizza Pat. Excuse me. That was a very well written letter. I don't know who wrote it, who the author was. As a select board member, I did hear from people afterwards that what the select board sent out, they weren't happy with the letter. And I understand that, so I'm glad they sent it out, but the thing is that I would have liked, it would have been nice if the Board of Public Works would have reached out to the select board and see if they wanted to sign on to that letter as well. and we never received a copy of that letter, to my understanding. I believe Mr. Carey made a comment that the select board has in regards to the earth removal, that the select board has the overall say in it. The town council here, would that be correct, or does the ZBA have control of that bylaw just when they make the decisions?
Under chapter 40B, the zoning board of appeals is the one that grants earth removal permits, because that's a permit that would be granted by the select board.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, thank
I
you.
have an answer to, I apologize for not asking the select board if they wanted to sign on, now, I don't think any of us even, did anybody think of it? I didn't think of that. I saw the meeting where
Just leave it.
the draft letter was approved, so I figured they had their letter and they didn't want to sign ours, I don't know.
No, it's understood.
I mean,
Like I said,
yeah.
I know that people, talking to a few people in town about the letter, they weren't happy with it. I don't know what people were looking for. Like I said, that letter you had right there, I think, hit all the spots right there. I just wish that the board, the individuals reached out to us, see if we would be interested in signing on to that letter as well.
Well, Bob mentioned that we should be sending these to the state rep, so maybe we can collaborate to get your signature on this letter for that delivery.
I think that would be a good idea
So,
to
reach
have.
out, I'll
have
reach
select
out
board-
on
I think
that.
the select board should be involved.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Give
on
them
that.
an opportunity, I'm not sure if they want to be involved, but
Right,
at least give them the
As an
opportunity.
individual select board member, I would
Right.
certainly want to be involved.
okay.
So-
Sorry.
Dave, go ahead.
There's one thing I forgot to add too. I don't know if this board is aware of it, but back April 10th of 2011, there was a fire in the Regani pit. Mr. Armstrong was burning tree stumps and trees. It was reported by 356 Ferry Street. The fire department responded to it with 3 crews, to extinguish the fire, and Mr. Armstrong basically buried the partially burned materials and stuff using his payloader. Did try to do inquiry, and there was nothing specifically referenced one way or the other as to whether or not any firefighting foam was used. And of course, if there had been, that would be carrying some PFOA in it, and that would be a significant thing. But that was one of the firefighters that is now a deputy chief, was active in there, and he said that, normally they would have specifically referenced if the foam had to be used. So I think it's safe to assume that we didn't have any PFOA foam used, but it is not absolutely certified one way or the other.
Okay, thanks.
So we can ask the select board to sign on to this letter. Also send it to our political representatives, both on the state level.
So I think we'd like to get, if Amy wouldn't mind, another copy made of it with signature lines and names on it, and then we can, in the meantime, I'll reach out and see, if they wanna sign it, and if they do, then their signature lines will go on
I'll be very happy.
for
if
the
select
select
did.
board also. So that would be great if we could, because that was the intention of the article, was for all the boards to come together.
Right.
And present, a unified statement based on the will of the residents and the voters.
Okay, any more on this item?
I don't have any.
Nope, okay. Next item is the black earth composting update.
Yep, so I think you have something in your package there. So I reached out to Black Earth, they do,
My friend Rosie.
Rosie, yes. Yeah, and unfortunately, I was talking to somebody else.
Somebody else.
And so
Yeah.
the wires were getting
Right.
crossed, but I went to Rosie directly, and then the other guy reached out to me, and Rosie shut him down, so I think Rosie's the person to talk to. So, Black Earth does food scrap composting, I think is the most clear way to talk about it. Because there's some things they can do and some things they can't. But they've been doing a lot of curbside collection of these food scraps. So you'd have a trash container, you'd have a recycle, and then you'd also have a food scrap container. They're looking for getting into Marshfield and having residents in Marshfield sign up for their services. It's $15.99 a month for every other week pickup. If you do a weekly pickup, it's a little bit more. But they need like 50-plus customers in order to
Yeah.
sign up, in order to actually roll the services out to town.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to see about at least getting it started, getting awareness, see if people are interested, one thing they have also offered is to do some at the transfer station. So what they're suggesting is have 3 containers at the transfer station. The containers are lined with bags. The bags have to be very, very specific because they have to be compostable bags, but you know how in this world people label things, like degradable is not the same, compostable is actually not the same, it has to be certified compostable. So there's individual tags that they have to be on it by an approving authority. So they would come into our transfer station, they would bring in containers, they would line the containers, they'd come in on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, depending upon how fast we fill them up, and they take that stuff away. They have a new facility that they built in Manchester by the Sea, where they're doing some composting there. What they said for us to come all the way down here and do it, it would be about $23 per bin per pickup, and $75 up front to get the thing going. So if all the bins were full and they picked it up every week, it's about $3,600, a little over $3,600 a year for them to offer this service. I think, Bob, you're asking, how does that relate to existing prices? So if you looked at how much would go in that bin, it's, I heard, from 100 to 180 pounds per container when they come and tip it. So at that rate, it's $250 to $460 a ton, which is significantly more than what we have here for our solid waste, but it's the right thing to do to get material out of the waste stream. We have recycling dividend funds that we get every year. We could use those to offset that $3,500 annual fee. And again, the goal would be to just increase awareness and interest, and hopefully people would catch on and maybe just divert all that material out of the waste. So, if we're interested in this, I think we'd have to do a bunch of advertising, because it's strict adherence to the rules. It can't be composted if it's not the right material that goes into the bins, and they will reject it. So they'll come out and say, no, this is trash, this is not gonna work for us. And I said, the bags even that you use have to be very, very specific. The picture there that I had on here is what Bourne is doing. So I talked to
Right.
Bourne, and Bourne has this little setup where they have a nice sign, they have it right by their scale house so that they're very watchful of what happens. But I think people who would do this, I think, will be mindful. They want to do it, they want to do the right thing. So I think they'll adhere to the rules. So we would be looking at something like this: set up some signage, have these bins, put it out on Facebook, put it out on our website, have handouts at the transfer station when people come in that say, hey, if you're interested in doing this, this is how you do it here at the transfer station, and if you're interested in a service, call these people.
So now, how will people, so when people bring their food scraps,
Yep.
their vegetable waste and whatever, right? And they have it in, a bag or something, they're just gonna open their bag and dump it in there.
What they should do, I think the most sanitary way to do it is that actually you can go on Amazon and you can buy the right bags.
So is that gonna be part of the,
We're not gonna buy the bags for people, but
no,
we'll give
but
them the
it's gonna be part of the
information.
education
Yes,
for them to
absolutely.
have the right bags to
Correct.
store it in
Yep.
at home till they bring it in.
Yes, so that second page that I put in there, that what you
Oh.
can do in the bottom right-hand corner, there's, that's the compostable products, BPI, CMA, or opaque compost certified. But we'll give references out to where they can get the stuff. You can get it on Amazon, you can buy different size bags, or you can actually use an untreated paper bag.
Oh, actually,
But if it's wet, that doesn't work too well.
Do these folks work with the commercial commodities in town?
And again, because they're compartmentalized, the Rosie person I'm dealing with deals with the municipal sector.
Yeah.
So she's really all about the municipal part of it.
I was just looking from the commercial component. There's a lot of restaurants around, and what do they do?
Well, so the rule in Massachusetts now is if you generate, it used to be if you generated a ton of organic material a week, you had to send it out for composting, you had to source separate it. They lowered that in the recent waste ban to now a half a ton. And it's likely they're gonna ratchet it down again, as DEP is trying to get this material out of the waste, to get the recycling rate up. So I think the restaurants, if they're not aware of it, they're gonna be aware of it.
Okay,
Well, I think it's a start because this is gonna be pushed and we'll at least be ahead of it
Mhm.
somewhat
Yeah.
before that happens.
Yeah.
okay.
I think it's a great idea.
John, any,
I'm all set.
all set?
I think it's a great idea.
Any, comments from the floor? Eric?
Or Kelly, I didn't get the gentleman's name, I was speaking upon this, but, he's,
Ken?
Ken, thank you. Is this DEP pushing this, or is this a state law that's guiding this?
So right now, the rule is the state rule in the waste bans is if you generate more than half a ton a week, you have to separate your material. So there's no requirement for a resident, for instance, to do it.
Right.
So we're just thinking ahead to offering this, because when DEP looks at what the waste stream is now, they're saying about 30% of it can be organic material.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at this that, much like recycling, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just gonna be another component for the homeowner to work on. You know, now you're gonna have the trash barrel, recycling barrel, then you're gonna have probably multiple composting barrels and all things. Go, it's a nice thing, and people wanna do it voluntarily, which is great, but we all know what these things lead to, at some point, is the fact that they're gonna, try and mandate it on us, like you said, DEP, which is unelected officials at the state level, that it's just gonna be another thing that the homeowner, on top of everything else in their lives, is gonna do, is gonna have to be worked on, so. I do have, I don't think it's a bad idea, but I do have concerns that this is going in the future.
So, this particular item that we have on the agenda is strictly a voluntary basis for municipal residents. That's the reason why I asked about the commercial component, is because commercial entities are not part of this. They're regulated in a whole different way.
Well, they'll be seriously impacted on this, I would say.
They would be seriously
Yeah.
impacted. But the more we get out of the waste stream, the less we have to landfill. The more we get out of the waste stream, we don't have to landfill stuff that could be recycled. And it could be used it's just, starting off, it's a little more costly than we're paying for it, but it's the right thing to do.
But also,
I'm-
it's gonna
I'm
go,
for
the cost of, in general, waste is just gonna go up and up and up, so.
Well, I think that's gonna go for anything. I mean,
Right.
I think the overall picture, in my opinion, is what's being created, what's being put in the landfill, and I think food waste is probably a
What
minimal
percentage
thing
did you
compared
say
to-
it was?
30%.
Up to
30%.
30%.
That's what they're saying, right?
That's what the DEP is saying, based upon waste characterization studies.
Yeah, I mean, I think the food waste center, I think, compared to what the products being, created out there like that, probably have more of an impact on our landfills than, I would say, the food waste matter. But either way.
So we don't have to vote on this, we're just going to,
Yeah, no, it's
Huh?
not a vote.
it's not a vote, no, it's just a discussion, but the board is in favor, all three of us are in
Yeah.
favor of moving forward with this.
Consensus, yeah.
Okay, next item is bylaw for pole and shoulder work.
That's me.
Mr. Superintendent? Sean?
That's me. So look
John?
at, that's me.
Okay.
Did you say my name?
Yeah, John?
Yeah, he said John, sounds like Sean.
Sound
John,
like
John, John,
Sorry, Robert.
John Kuzak.
You are correct, there's only one of me. Lucky there's not two. I'm looking at the bylaws. So, under 250-23, a permit is required. No person except a duly authorized officer of the town shall, without a permit from the Board of Public Works, dig up any portion of the public way. That's 250-23. And now we have 250-1, 2, and 3. It all needs, without any authorization, it needs a authorization from the Board of Public Works. The permit is required. Anybody that breaks up or dig up the ground or any stones or any sidewalk, here, Andy, come on. You're in on this, come on. Without a written permit. So that's 251, 2, and 3. And then we have 250-5, which is needs a permit, anybody that breaks up or digs up the ground or any stones or any sidewalk or other part of any public way. So I brought this forward because I watched the selectmen's meeting and I watched our town council say that the Board of Selectmen, or the Select Board, as the only one that has the permission for polls, which is not true. That's your opinion. These are the bylaws. So I bring it to you, Bobby, to you,
So I hear what you're saying.
you know,
So-
it's up.
So this is the town bylaw, 250-1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yep,
6, and 23.
correct. It all requires the Board of Public Works to issue a permit. So I'm trying to bring this forward because there's a lot of questions about poles and authorizations, and it's a driveway. It's not only a driveway, it's an alterization, it alters the side of the road. So, we don't want any magic erasers here.
Yeah, no new driveway
Or any alteration.
or
made
any
in existing
alteration
shoulder.
made
Yeah.
to an existing shoulder or sidewalk. I
I mean, that's all within our jurisdiction. Annie, here. Come on. Sit down. This is all within our jurisdiction. It's not up to the Board of Selectmen to issue a permit without contacting and having the application come before the Board of Public Works. And these are our bylaws.
So past, okay, that's what's been presented. Sean, what's the past practice?
Past practice was that we signed off on it and it went to the select board. When I say we, Jimmy Kent and I, or Tom and I in the past. But it's the board's decision to whether they want to push this forward or not. You have to vote on it.
When
We'll
was
have
it
to vote on the
established
bylaw.
that it would be done that way
Before I got
for
here.
polls?
Andy, stay here.
So we don't know when, or if it was a,
I think Mr. Shaughnessy was on the board. It may have been when I first got here, if not before, and the board released.
I think I'm gonna bring it up.
Good.
All right, fine. Many years ago, Jeb Deloach was superintendent, we talked about not overloading the board, and there were certain things that were operational and certain things were policy. And I believe we talked about governance, and under the umbrella of governance, not necessarily per se, per bylaw or anything, there were certain things that we asked him that, you know, if it really doesn't need to be jammed up in the board's meetings, there was a delegation component to the superintendent to deal with operational component. So, but then, every board's different. So when we first you got on the board, we went through all the policies. It's probably in that policy list somewhere that we delegated it to the superintendent or somewhere back. But there's nothing that says we can't take it back.
I didn't see it in the policies, but it doesn't mean I didn't miss it.
Yeah, right. So
I just
if we
didn't
want to
see
see every driveway and every road that's gonna be dug up to the board, that's our prerogative to do that. Previous boards have delegated to the superintendent. Right or wrong, that's in it. and past practice moving forward.
Um,
Well, it's our bylaws, so it's something that we have to respect the bylaw, and it's up to the Board of Public Works to issue the permit.
So what I'm saying, John, is that in the past,
That's
it is
true.
up to the Board of Public Works to do that, but we also delegate that responsibility to the superintendent.
Yeah, but this is.
So we can take it back.
This is a new board.
Right, it's a new board, and if the new board wants to take it back, we can take it back.
Right.
So we see,
No, stay
so we
here.
should, so we should see, you know,
Stay here.
any new driveway, any new, pole,
Authorization.
authorization, come to the board as a listing, and then we would vote on it.
Correct.
Is that what we wanna do?
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I have concerns with some of the things that I've seen kind of go by, you know, that didn't get voted on.
Okay,
So my concern is that that would happen again.
so,
Or, and some things were, you know, didn't get approved, but I know there was a driveway issue a couple of weeks ago that didn't come before the board, but it's not an actual driveway, but if it were gonna be a driveway, it would have to. But
so we
But
just
I
have
would wanna
to,
know that it was gonna come before the board, if it
Okay.
was gonna be a driveway, you know?
yeah, so if it comes to us, we shouldn't delegate that from this point on forward. It should come to the board, and we vote on it, then we move it to the next step. So instead of having staff, and the superintendent approve it, it comes to our board, then they go to the next step.
That's correct.
Okay. I'm good with that.
I think that's the cleaner way to do it. I think we're not gonna be missing anything that we're supposed to be paying attention to if we follow the bylaws.
Yeah, so in past practice, many years ago, it was a governance issue.
Yeah,
So, and, you know, delegation of, we can delegate what we want to delegate, we can take back what we want to take back.
mhm.
So, Sean, you okay with that?
It's up to you.
Okay, good.
I'm fine. Beach trash,
Okay, next item is beach trash.
I brought that
There's
up.
no trash at the beach.
I brought that up. Just looking at the trash barrels, I see the one, for instance, at Winslow Ave Extension. You know, they have chairs, they're putting out all kinds of lounge chairs, beach chairs. And this happens all
Oh,
throughout.
leaving them at the,
Yeah,
where
but
the,
what I'd like to find out is, who's tracking the cost to pick that up? And the amount, the weight? Are because we shouldn't, the ratepayers shouldn't be paying for this.
Right, so everything that comes across the scale would be registered in as beach trash.
And
And
what
then that would
about,
go into the offset calculation.
okay, and so, that's that small truck,
Yes.
yeah. So who's paying for the labor for that? How does that work?
It's part of the daily operations. We pick up the beach trash every day, even on weekends. The problem we're seeing is, and this has been a problem since I can remember, is people violating rules and putting their household trash
Correct.
in their beach trash rubbish barrels, which, unless I put somebody down there 24/7 to watch, we don't know who does it. So it's been an ongoing issue. People have been warned, we have caught people in the past and given them a firm warning that, you know, this is for beach trash, not your household rubbish, that's the
Yeah.
transfer station for.
Yeah, but that's being weighed, that, at least we're catching on that.
Yes.
I'm talking about why are we paying for this with our personnel? This is a general fund cost, because we're picking up the barrels.
So to answer your question, the highway guys are picking it up and they're out of the general fund.
Yeah, but that's our budget. I mean, that's our budget out of the general fund. I'm talking about Moresco's budget.
I don't know, I can't split hairs like that, I don't know what
But
to tell you.
why should we be picking up beach trash, which is fine, but why should the ratepayers pay for it?
Ratepayers aren't, he just told you it was a general fund, not the
But it's
enterprise.
still out of our budget.
Well, it's still out of the budget, but still general fund though, it's tax base. And
Yeah,
then,
but-
and then,
Okay,
then,
okay,
then,
I can agree with you. Why don't we do this, when it comes to that highway budget, add in the cost of those, labor to pick it up?
so we can just track it, we'll determine what the value is. And we also, the way of it is through the offset, so that goes back into the general fund too.
Well, I know who's on the truck every day.
Yeah, and it's only 10 weeks a year,
All right,
12 weeks.
well,
Okay, track it, and then we'll
That's fine.
determine it from there.
that's fine, as long as we track it.
Okay, so we're skipping over item number
Yeah.
5. We're going to go to acceptance of the minutes, open meeting minutes, June 24th and July 8th.
I read them, I'm all
Do we
set.
have them?
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on 6/24 and 7/8?
I'm all set.
No? Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of June 24th and July 28th.
Second, June 6th, 24th.
June 24th
And July
and
8th.
July 8th.
Second,
Too many numbers, getting confused there.
second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, executive meeting minutes of July 8th.
Those are all secret. I'm all set with those two.
All set with those?
Yes.
Do I make a motion to accept those minutes of executive meeting minutes of July 8th?
Can you do that in an open session meeting? With executive session
Yeah,
minutes?
but we're not saying
No, we
what
just
they
don't
are.
post them
There's nothing there, it's just that they.
You accept them and
exist.
then post them.
until you don't post them.
Just check.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
We all approve.
Aye.
Aye.
We do a motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one's open meeting, past open meeting minutes of 2023, August 8th and October 10th.
Is that Darcy one? What we didn't do?
August 7th,
Is that the one that was done in longhand?
that's when Tom Reynolds was here,
Yeah.
and they were,
They were unreadable by Darcy.
yeah, now
Yeah.
now they're printed, so they can be
The
posted.
crosswalks,
Now,
right?
now we can read them.
Right. So let's just do August 7th first. Have a second? Make a motion to accept?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's do October 10th. That was relating to
What's this?
interviews.
Oh. Yeah, you're right.
All right? Only comment was on second page of that, kind of killed my spelling of my last name. That's okay.
That was Anne Marie.
Oh, that's it, right, okay. That's all right.
I see it,
Not
I'll
a
fix
problem.
that, yeah.
Just to show you that I did read them. Okay, so I make a motion to accept October 10th, 2023, with as noted. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 That takes care of all the meeting minutes. So how many open meeting minutes do we have still at bay?
I think there's like 4 or 5.
4 more? Yeah. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna turn it over to the superintendent for the superintendent's report. Talk about tie gates, Avon Street Pump Station, playground progress and other activities, which we already had discussion, but you
Yeah,
can
you
do
know,
more.
we can,
And then we can talk about the cemetery pamphlet and some of the rules and regulations of cemeteries.
I'm gonna ask, who's here for the cemeteries? Let's take that first.
All right, we'll take that first. My deepest condolences for your loss. But
Okay, so you want to explain what your thoughts are about moving forward with policy changes perhaps, and
so I go back, I mean,
when you're.
I've been very concerned about cemeteries for a long, long time. Been on the board since 2002. I've worked with Tom Whalen, CPC, of trying to improve the cemeteries, the old ones. A lot of them are closed. We did a number of them on Union Street to make sure we maintain those people that came before us, who paid the taxes and bought a lot of land and protected our town before we even got here. So I'm very concerned about being respectful for those who came before us.
Yep.
Including my mother and father, who are no longer with us, and respect for them. We had a committee back in 2012. We're looking at all the historical cemeteries, but we're also looking at Couch Cemetery, trying to modernize Couch, because Couch had issues with high groundwater, had issues with some maintenance, and we wanted to come up with a good overlay. And I asked the superintendent if he had a plan for a Couch, because we were running out of space. We're no different than any other community. We're running out of space for cemeteries. We did some memorials for internments, for boxes, for people that get cremated, and we need to be doing a nice way. So when Tom Reynolds was here, we were looking at the rules and looking at having different sections represent different ways of doing it. A children's section, a veteran section, people, and different pieces, and some of them were going to be headstones, some of them were going to be smaller ones, and some of them were going to be flat. So my understanding is that you guys have purchased a section that was going to be the flat component. We have not, but we will be updating all our rules and regulations. I had discussions this afternoon with the superintendent and town council, and we did have a cemetery subcommittee of some residents, some of the historical people. The Board of Health was on it, and I think that we need to come up with a new set of rules. I know where you're coming from as far as you would like to have a monument not being a flat headstone, something a little bit higher. I will promise you this, we're not gonna do anything tonight, but I will consider that when we actually go back and revisit the rules and regulations, that maybe we don't necessarily have to have them all flat. Maybe there could be a combination of something. But without looking at an engineering plan and looking at the overall scheme of everything, we will entertain where your position is. And your position, I know where your position is from the superintendent, is that you really don't want a flat marker, you want something different than a flat marker. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's where I'm at.
Can I back this?
Now, someone can speak. Go
It
ahead.
was just, there was no information, like my father died the next day. We had to go down there. There's no information on the town of Marshfield
I agree.
website. And then that, we didn't choose to purchase a plot there. That's the only place we were allowed to. So, yeah, I'm not trying, I'm just
No.
saying, like, I have a printout of like, Hanover, Pembroke,
Right.
Plymouth. Everything is, you just, cemetery, boom, comes up there, there's the rules. There's nothing, and then this we got in the mail.
Right, that's a pamphlet, not regulations.
Okay, it says it was revised September 2023, so I was just curious about your meeting minutes from September 2023 also, like you're open, I
Yeah,
don't see
so-
those. I just, for me personally, just the lack of any information about this topic.
Yeah, so,
Could you just state your name and address? please?
Sure, yes. My mother is a Marshfield resident. My name is Patricia Donegan, I live in Plymouth. I'm here on behalf of my mother, who's
She's at 92
to Springfield Avenue. She's 88 years old, so she can't be here. So, I mean, just the whole experience, just there's no, you know, first thing,
So I'm in full agreement with you. That the public was not getting, you weren't getting enough information, and then we need to correct that situation. But we did have a cemetery committee back in 2017, 18, where we were looking at rehabbing from 12 to 17, we were looking at all the historical components of the hills, downtown, Union Street, and the CPA was actually funding a lot of that rehabilitation. On the flip side, we said we needed to expand Couch because it was filling up, and there was groundwater issues, and we wanted to make sure that we did that. We did hire an engineering firm to do a full plan. What's missing is we didn't update the rules, and we are going to. And what I'm saying to you is, I'm promising you that we will consider what you are.
Can I just add one point?
Sure,
I
go
think the concern might be,
just name and
every
address,
day,
please.
while we wait for that to happen, there's more people in our circumstance.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's a sense of urgency, and that's, you know, I get it, you have rules, and whatever the rules are, they are.
Right.
But the longer it takes you to communicate those rules, the more people are in the same circumstance.
My conversation, which we're going to bring to the board, is I talked to town council of getting consultants to help formulate what the rules are. Other towns have done it, Plymouth has done it, Tisbury on the island where they don't have much space out there. Norwell's just done it, I know some of the cities have done it, Milton's done it.
Sorry, excuse me.
So I'm thinking that, you know, we'll hire a consultant to fast track it.
When you say done it, I'm just curious, what do you mean by that?
What, they've updated their rules
Okay.
to modernize into the modernizing place, because a lot of our rules, I think were 2006 was the last time,
Nobody knows.
2006 is when they were updated.
Well, what they're getting at too, and I agree with them, is that Plymouth and a few other towns that you mentioned that have on the website, what they do, how they do it, they have a dedicated cemetery department. Our cemetery group is cemetery trees and greens. We have 2 guys doing the cemeteries. So I'm not trying to make any excuses. I agree with you. I want to see where you can go and find everything you need.
Right.
And that's something that we got to work on with the consultant, because I can't do websites, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's just, like I said, I just think more, every day, sadly, someone's in
Yeah,
our circumstance.
right,
And so I don't know how long it takes for a consultant to
No, we're
come
not gonna-
in. If you're
we're not gonna
talking
drag it
7, 8
out.
months, there's many
No,
more people who
we're
are in
not-
the same boat. That's,
I mean,
that's my concern.
over the last number of years, we actually put all our cemetery records online with, what was the name? Find a Grave? It was one of them.
A while back.
So if people are looking for historical pieces, they could actually get it
Find it,
through and we have, all our records were on paper. You know, 10 years ago, they were all on paper, now they're all on the website. And then anyone that does pass, it gets updated on a per basis, per event basis. So,
But even having that pamphlet on the website, we bet, because like you have people, if there's a black marker,
Yeah.
we could have gone to Bourne and not paid $2,400.
yeah, I get that,
So that should be available.
I get that. I get that.
Way in the back, Bob.
Lady in the back.
Roberta Souza, I live on Massasoit Ave. I'm just curious what the difference between a marker and having a stone still sort of takes up the same amount of space. That's my first question. And then my second question is, do you have a timeline for when you might have a decision?
Those are good questions.
I can answer one, you can answer the other.
Well, timeline is probably within 6 months, and we'll probably get the rules out. That's from a timeline standpoint, I would like to see it within 6 months.
So probably not before winter time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not rocket science. I mean, a lot of communities have already updated. I mean, like I was saying, our rules haven't been updated since 2006. we were holding off until we get a design in for the new cemetery before we start updating the rules. I think because we wanted to see what we're going to do, and so now is the time, because we do have a couple phases of the new cemetery. So some communities don't even have any cemetery anymore, so at least we have some space. Although it is a commodity that, so, and then, Sean, what was the other one?
Yeah.
Flat markers versus headstones is a maintenance thing. It's a lot easier to maneuver around the flat markers than it is a headstone when you only have two guys that are mowing the cemeteries. So, that's pretty much what that's all about.
So I guess, name and address for the record.
I'm a little emotional, obviously. Nancy Braun, 65 Ocean, Marshfield. So, think about your loved one is in the cemetery, and you don't have a marker up, and it's snowing out, and you don't know where your loved one is, okay? Now, as you can see, I'm still grieving heavily for the loss of my mom, right? And it's very difficult for me, who goes to the grave weekly as often as I can, to be there, and she's got this little piece of paper that has her name and her dates of her, and it's very sad. And for me to have a headstone, and growing up in a Catholic church, just think about what it would be to you if you went to see your parents and they didn't have a headstone. And with this winter weather coming, it will be very challenging to really know and see that speak. So that's all I'm asking, is to think about that and the timeline. We had and the other consideration is that whole cemetery has headstones. I have a brother who's there as well. And it's very difficult 5 feet away to see headstones, and then we've learned after this grieving process that we can't have a headstone. So it's been a very dramatic as we're going through the grieving process. So that's all to consider as you think about your timeline for other families coming up, that they're in a grieving state, and then to find out when there's an for them, some families may not be as impactful to, but for some families it is. And that's all I just wanted to share.
So, what we were trying to do, this is conceptually, not necessarily actually, it was to give people options when we're designing the new cemetery. So, because the current, and correct me if I'm wrong, the current area that's open is flat markers. The other sections will have headstones at some point, as we move forward. Am I correct?
If you're saying it goes back to 2006, was that decided in 2006
No,
at that point?
I'm saying those were the last ones we updated before we even were entertaining expanding the cemetery. So when we did the that's why I wanted to bring a plan of the whole cemetery, including the no markers of, flat markers versus other sections, so you could actually see conceptually what it was. And it wasn't available tonight.
All there is the flat markers.
Do you think there's?
So all the things available right now is flat markers.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, no one has an option. It's just
No.
flat.
So I think what we're all
Nobody has
finding
a
out
flat
tonight,
marker.
sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
Steve Downing, on behalf of 92 Springfield Ave.
Yeah.
I think what we all could agree on tonight is that there's a little lack of transparency, and I think we all want to get to that point where there's clear rules, they're published, they can be had easily off the website. I think we all kind of learned that already. And we definitely appreciate Mr. Patterson and Attorney Galvin's efforts to getting us to tonight's meeting. So this has been great to get this in front of you. But the ask is, and I guess, can we just all agree that we formally do want to request the ability to put upright headstones, whether they're subject to some size requirement, we understand that, that's perfectly logical, but could we all agree that we want to advance this? And that's the end game, is to be able for Section 4, and whether you limit that after Section 4, just make it clear, and so that everyone knows what they're getting into. But the ask tonight is for Section 4 to have upright headstones.
So I can't answer that question. I gave what you're saying, and I would like to say yes, but without conceptually seeing what the whole plan is of there, I'd be more than.
So what's the next step?
The next step is to review the overall plan of the new cemetery, the different sections, right? Determine what's being used now versus, and what was the conceptual design that we had that we gave the consultant that actually come up with the plan, and come up with the new rules, and have them in public within 6 months.
So that
That's
lies with the
in
board?
my mind, that's what I would like to do.
So, but that's on you as the board, or is that on?
Well, we are the board, the superintendent works for us. But when we hire the consultant, 3 of us have to approve it, not just one.
Okay.
It's always the 3 of us we have to present it at another meeting. Once we get conceptual, we're gonna have to lay out the plan. This is what we're looking for, this is how this is gonna be this section, this section, this section.
It's just always helpful to have some balance.
And
What's the
if
next?
you would like,
Yeah.
when we have that meeting, I would ask the superintendent to invite you.
Oh, good, that's good.
All right, so you don't have to be looking out that we would notify you when we're gonna do that, so you can be participating.
No, I think that's helpful, just so that we all know that we don't wait for 6 months and then
No.
revisit, where are we at, and then nothing's happened.
No,
I have a question.
sure, go ahead.
So did, this cemetery plan was way before my time. I only got here a year ago, so, on the board. Were people purchasing plots and weren't told, they didn't know that they couldn't have a
We
headstone?
found out when we went there.
You
100%.
found out
Basically,
after?
that's spot on. Again,
So there's
speaking of
nothing
my mother
on-
For 92 Springfield Ave.
Yeah.
My father died the next day. We made arrangements as things roll around quick. So just to be extremely clear, we made our decisions while grieving,
Right, of course.
just after. It was never clear between McDonald Funeral Home. There was a chance that, just so you know, there may be a restriction, Then we get to Couch, I was not there, but my sister Mara was, that
Yeah, you were
paid the check.
told, you pay the check. Right now, these are flat markers, but down the road, the rules may be changed, and if your flat marker, if you choose to get one, can be moved when your headstone gets put in. And so we were told at that time, this section, you have no choice as to any other, this is the only place you can go. Flat marker, but that's subject to change.
Yeah.
That's what we were told.
Just
and so
possibility.
we're just-
Nobody said
Yeah.
point blank, you will definitely get a headstone.
No,
No
they
one
said
ever
if,
said.
if there's,
There
this
was
is
no-
a new rule for this section, but if enough people are sort of
Yeah.
pushing for headstones, that may change.
Well,
That's
And
why
I
if
know,
you
I'm not,
drove to the
I'm just
area,
saying, so
no-
we're just trying to address it, like if we thought, and we
So-
couldn't find any documentation, and so we said, oh, this is a possibility for change, how do we make that happen? That's, and so I guess the only other thing I'd say, I appreciate it too, but I just want to reiterate again, the 7 months from now, I think there's now 12 graves where there were 4 when my father was buried in early April. There'll be rows more of people waiting
I
for that,
disagree
for that
with that.
doc,
No, I
for
get
that, and that's not fair. Like somebody, I mean, if the rule's the rule, just say what the rule is. But it's just not fair to put more people in our position.
And I think if
So I
you
guess
drove
I
there,
would
you'd
ask
see,
if
that's
we
just
could
why
have
there's one.
monuments.
No, I've been there, but
Okay.
I didn't know.
So that would explain
Then-
why
then
no
I-
one has a flat marker there, because I think,
Everyone's waiting
honestly,
for
people have been told it might change, so we've all just been patiently waiting to see.
Staff.
Just for
I'm not sure
clarity.
If your home told you that, they
Yeah, and
staffed
we
it.
don't blame anyone because the
No.
rules aren't clear, obviously.
No,
So,
I
I
get
mean,
that.
people that have to communicate that can't communicate what isn't
So,
clear to them,
all,
so.
all I can do is, from this point forward, knowing how we were pushing for at the new cemetery, because if that was the case, we didn't have enough space to begin with. And we're gonna work together to not have this problem in the future.
So could we ask for an exception to be made, allowing stones until such time as you can gather everything you need for the future of the cemetery, and then make your rules going forward at that time?
Well, I think we need to look at it from a conceptual standpoint first, and and if there is, a way of getting to where you wanna be with the existing pieces, we'll entertain that. But I'm not promising anything. But I do feel, I mean, I've lost both my parents. My mother just passed away at 96 3/4, only 2 months ago. And I feel for you. I mean, I know exactly what you're going through. I have a lot of empathy for what we're going through. As we get older, we see the light at the end of the tunnels. I mean, and we're getting closer to it. And basically, I would like to make sure that the rules are fixed. And it's just, with everything else going on, the cemeteries wasn't a priority. It was playgrounds, schools, 40Bs, PFAS, wastewater, sewer problems. We're doing everything. And we weren't really focused on that. But I do thank you for bringing it up. It is important. And we can't forget where we came from and who came before us and paid the taxes here. And that we will consider that. And please note, Sean, that when we do bring this up, that you folks will be notified.
They're on the email chain.
Be in the email chain, okay?
Thank you.
That's probably the best I can do, other than saying, oh, I'm not doing it. But I want to make sure that the design is a design, and hopefully we can work with it. And we do appreciate your input, because we are one town.
Well, thank you, and sorry for your loss. It would be nice if you could make some sort of an exception sooner rather than later.
What I just said is, we'll entertain that.
I understand.
I understand. Okay. Any more comments on the cemetery
I
pamphlet?
just want to make sure that there's something on the website that clearly communicates what people are actually getting when they buy a plot. And that's it.
I think we should put it on the website that.
It has to be more clear,
The rules are being revised.
and that this is the rule. That, because
We
if
had to
somebody's
revise the plan,
buying
correct?
a plot thinking they're gonna put a headstone and they're not able to, that's not okay.
Well, we could communicate that to Mark McDonald.
Yeah, and I'll
And
get in
the
touch
other-
with Mark McDonald, but I mean,
Just,
that's just one,
I know it is, but there's other ones too.
To be clear, it wasn't McDonald Funeral that told us that.
But they weren't clear on, they weren't clear on the rules either. It doesn't
They don't
sound like
really know
anybody
them.
really
Yeah.
was clear, and it should be at least clear on the website, if nowhere else.
Well, the other thing is, it's very hard to find a copy of the brochure that you have for the cemeteries, as people have mentioned. And even in the brochure, it mentions the new section of the cemetery, however, there's no clear definition as to what the old versus the new section is, other than what the cemetery worker told us at that time.
Right.
Right, and there's no plan to show you on the website
Correct.
of what the old is and what the new is.
Correct.
Where the one picture's worth 1,000 words.
Right.
I agree. I'm on the same page.
Thank you.
Okay. Sean, I think, any more comments on the cemetery issues?
No, I think we need to listen to what they're saying,
We are,
and
and we need to
act upon it as soon
move
as
fast
we can.
and hire a consultant and move on with this.
Well, you can at least get some language on the website in the meantime, in
We
the,
have the pamphlet that was just revised, we'll put that up
Okay.
there as well. And I apologize for any lack of information. I didn't deal with any folks directly, but I will speak to the guys in the office.
Now, we recognize that this only got to your attention maybe a week ago, so definitely appreciate the communication.
You're welcome. I lost both parents too, young, so I understand.
Okay. Thank you for all coming.
Thank you.
You gonna go tie gates?
Yeah. Ken, you wanna talk a little about the tide gates where we're at?
Sure, I mean, I think the last time we talked about, we had Northern in, we put up some temporary, we're watching the water levels still appear to be low, so we're not seeing high water back behind the tide gates. We're waiting for Northern to do repairs to the hinges and the bolts and all the fasteners, so we can reinstall the tide gate that broke.
Yeah.
And that's where we stand.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else on tag gates?
I'm gonna pass the next one off to
Uh,
Ken as well, because he,
Avon Street Pump Station, Force Main.
I don't say
I have
this.
a question on the tide gate.
Sure, go ahead.
Is there a time frame that they're actually going to be fixed? I know there's a temporary fix in place right now, but
Yeah,
we got some stormy
Could you just
weather.
state your name and address, please?
Kathleen Buckley, 18 Dark Lane.
Thanks.
August is a tumultuous month as far as storms. September, October. What is the timeline?
So we were doing all those repairs based on an emergency basis, and we've told the contractor to get that done as soon as possible. I don't know what the time frame is right now to get that done, but as soon as the parts are fixed, then we'll get right out there and put it right back again.
I will say the temporary gates are more than capable of holding back water. I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, we have lower water, we monitor the water level behind the gates, and the water level has been holding lower than before the gate fell off. So far, everything's okay, but it is a temporary fix, so we're looking to get the permanent fix done as soon as we can.
Any idea when?
I was not in touch with that contractor, somebody else was, so I can't give you a date right now.
I know the hinges and everything are down in Mashpee being repaired now.
I just don't know how long they said it was gonna take.
It's not gonna be long. But I will say this, if we do get a storm, the gates that are in there now are gonna hold very well.
Because we've had flooding on our street, so.
That was before they put these in.
Sorry?
That was before they put these temporary gates in that we just put.
Right, that was good, yeah.
That was when the tide gate fell off, yes.
Yeah.
My hair is still growing.
Grass isn't growing back.
Okay. Anything else on tide gates? Avon Street?
So Avon Street, we,
I think that's-
Oh,
sorry.
did you have a question on the tide gates?
Yeah, I'd like to have a question. I'm only during the summertime. What happened to the floodgates? The tidal gates, what happened to it? Let it let go, it's destroyed every yard on MacArthur Lane with a foot of water, mud. My yard will never be the same, all right? You got those mosquito control ditches that I have no idea what they're supposed to do. They've probably been there for 100 years. And what happens is the ocean has risen. Just go down on Fifth Road, and you say at high tide, you can't sit there anymore. So the ocean has risen. It's coming to those gates, and the river is going up on the heavy tides, like right down behind everybody's house. It destroys the yards constantly. Does anybody know what those mosquito controls supposed to do next? Because I look at my yard now, they're 8 feet high. I mean, there's all kind of reeds and trees, and they don't do anything with it. They're supposed to do it every year or two. But I mean, it happens every winter. I've been up to town hall for the past 25 years talking to the superintendent, whoever it was, and it seems like it's a big joke. I asked him, why can't, at the high tides, those gates can't be closed? Just for the day or the next day, till the high tide submits, then open the gates again. But if you don't, you get in a 12-foot high tide. It comes through the river goes up, goes into the mosquito control ditches, comes right down everybody's house. Every house gets destroyed down there. This last one has even moved the footings on my deck. It's even moved the footings of it. It was this far deep in water. So what happened to, how did this happen?
So what you're really asking is,
What happened?
do we have a plan?
No,
No, I said,
no. What caused this to happen?
No, I said, what you're asking is, do we have a plan when the tide is is on the high side, that the gates could be closed.
25 years I've been asking for
I
that.
get that, so I'm asking the question to the superintendent.
Yeah, 25 years.
And
Why
then-
can't you shut
and
it?
it says we're doing new tie gates, and we're spending how much, hundreds of thousands of dollars for the new tie gates?
No.
Is there an operational plan for it?
So currently, the operational plan is there's 4 gates. Those 4 gates automatically close. There's one that's adjustable because the regulators want some of the salt water going back into the river for mosquito control. So we're able to adjust that one when there's a big storm coming or anything. And we've done a pretty good job, I think, with that up until the tie gate broke. And what happened was the hinges actually broke off the tie
You
gate
did
and
a
it
good
fell
job,
off.
you did a good job at what?
Who maintains them?
Those gates have been, it never shut down in the wintertime when you get the high tides.
Yes, they are.
Everybody's yard gets destroyed year after year after year, and they go up and they complain at the town hall. It just seems like it goes over everybody's heads.
So the tie gates,
Just a bad high tides, close the gates, and that won't happen to everybody down there.
you can't keep all the water out of the back river. What Ken was saying is that the regulators require us to have certain amount of flow to and from.
We're only talking about 1 or 2 days, nothing's gonna happen at that river, it's not gonna dry up. Just on the mean high tides, when you get 12, 14 foot high tides during the winter, shut the gate so it doesn't go in the river,
And they do.
okay?
And they do, superintendent said they do.
And they what?
We do shut the gates during the high tides in the winter, during the storms.
Why is everybody's yard getting, either that, you find out about these mosquito control ditches and fill them in. If there's no use for them, that won't happen to everybody's yard.
Well, you can't
If
fill
you
it
live
in.
down there, year after year, I've been down there 50 years. I just, every year after year after year. It's not a joke down there. That whole place
saying it
probably
is.
never should have been built. There's no sewers on the street. The sewer mains were never put in. So the water down there was constantly everywhere down there.
I think that's the problem, is that it's the volume of water. It's not that the tie gates aren't doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. It's just that there's so much water. And the storms are so bad, and the ocean is higher, and the beach is eroded.
Yeah.
It's just,
No, but as far as the streets go, if you go down there, and I've explained it before, the land is like this Johnson Terrace over in
it's
MacArthur
all
Lane.
built below
When you
sea
get all
level,
that rain,
isn't
it
it?
comes over from Johnson Terrace over in MacArthur Lane, that fills up everybody's fronts of the house.
Yeah, it's all built below sea level.
Yeah. So I've been asking for years, especially in front of my house, I can't get in my yard, and I can't walk unless I get a car to get out of there. Because when that happens, my front of my house is like an ocean. You've seen pictures of it,
Yes.
okay? It's like an ocean.
But it's not just the tie gates, it's
I mean, you
it's-
do that
it's where
street
the
someday,
location of.
you got a lot of work and planning to fix those streets down there, because, you get water coming like this from the other street, that's where the land is.
I'm going to ask Ken, the engineer, what is the elevation of those streets? Are they above or below high tide level?
They're below sea level.
They're below sea
They're below
level.
sea level.
Yeah, we're at 1 down there, I know that. My yard's at 1. I know that it's low down there.
There are no drains on the
One of the big problems is,
No way to drain
can
them.
engineer please find out
Where it's
from the
drained.
mosquito control ditches exactly what they're supposed to do? What do they do? Why are they there now anymore? If they're no use, fill them in so the water don't come in anymore.
Well, actually, I've been sitting on this board and we've done a lot of work in that area, trying to clean out some of those mosquito control ditches. And it is very difficult to do so. And there's also a lot of environmental laws that tie our hands from the town doing it. We need to get the Plymouth County to do it.
I know that. I understand that. We're trying to tell
And we're
you.
begging, a lot of times we're begging the Plymouth County
I know. I'm talking
to
down
do
there.
that because
But
they
you know,
can
somebody might
circumvent.
have decided 75 years ago, this is the way to go. So they dig a trench there, they look up for the groundwater to go in the trench, and settle in there and then run from Plymouth Avenue all the way up to the river. You'd have to be licensed to get the water out of the trench.
And if it's ever come to this board, the three of us and the previous boards have always been very supportive of the folks that live down there, and we feel your pain. And
What
the
happens,
town
we
spends
have
money
to-
down there to
They're
try to
full with
fix
oil
that.
down there when it happens. The yards are full with oil.
I know.
You call the EPA and they laugh at you. But
Is it really oil, or is it just something else that's naturally in the environment, like iron, that looks like a sheen?
That's what he said it was, but he wasn't interested in testing it, he just decided that that's what it
Usually
was.
there's a high iron that gets up and it looks like a sheen, it looks like an oil spill, but it's not, it's iron.
Right, that's
Okay.
what he said.
But
I have
our
a
grass
question.
is all, has not
There's
grown back.
there's two storm drains at the top of the street. Do you know, if they go anywhere?
I think that, that's a sort of a engineering question to look at a set of plans and to determine that. I can't answer that.
Okay.
Engineering would do that. You can make an appointment with the engineering department, they'd be happy to go through it with you.
That would be him?
Yep. Sure. Ken and Rod Procasino.
Yep.
And if they come back on a plan and they wanted us to approve something and go to town meeting and get money to do that, I know I would be supportive of that,
Okay.
right?
Because when the tide is up, so the creek fills, then when we have rain, the water has nowhere to go in our street.
Right.
Yeah, especially if you're in a spring tide or high, seasonal tide, yeah.
I mean, never mind,
Right.
gate or no gate, obviously, get working, but, so, I mean.
It's
pump
below
it-
sea
pump
level.
it, should we just pump it,
We know
into
that.
somewhere, pump it into
So,
around Plymouth?
But still, a little storm drainage might help alleviate some of that water.
Right. Is it gonna go?
I don't know, I mean, yeah, engineering can speak to that. They have spoken to that issue in meetings multiple times, that there's nowhere for it to drain to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if there's a drain, there's no outlet that isn't full of water. So
Right, but there are other
essentially, it's
towns
just, there's water everywhere,
they
and so
build-
there's nowhere for the
they
water to
build some kind
go.
of a system with layering of.
Like, if you can't dig up the whole underground, everything's gonna cave in.
Well,
There's just,
there are systems in place in other towns or states and about, with storm water.
yeah, I don't know, but probably they were built before.
No,
Whole
it's pretty new,
neighborhoods
it's
were
an
built on top of
environmental
it.
thing.
Well, the bottom line is if you tried to build those houses today, you would not be able.
Yeah,
It
right,
wouldn't
it's
be
all
that.
clay, so there is no, you can't even get a shovel in there when, you can't get the shovel out anyway, when you're flooded.
Flooding is part of the charm of Marshfield.
That's
Not-
what- well, we live in
Not easy,
Marshfield.
I'm not diminishing your pain at all. It just is what it is, I think.
I mean, and if you look around the town, when you look at Surf Avenue, what we've done there, tried to alleviate that. We've done a lot of work on Plymouth Avenue, tried to alleviate that. But we can't raise the land.
We're gonna go in a minute.
We can go from there. With that, I would like to, is that it?
Yeah.
I'd like to close this meeting,
Yep.
and unless anyone has a final word,
No, good.
after that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I want to thank everybody for coming.
We gotta vote.
Yeah, I,
All, aye.
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 thank you very much.
Thank you.